Kevin Lescavage. I reside in West Pittston. I've been a resident there for just about 30 years. Spent some time on West Pittston Council, 7 years. Kind of enjoyed that, and felt like getting back involved with politics again, so then I decided to run for Luzerne County Council. I grew up in Schuylkill County, moved here over 37 years ago, and went to Penn State for 2 years, business administration. Went to work for Reading Anthracite Coal Company, and have been there ever since for 37 years. I'm a sales rep, traveling rep, cover 6 states. And I guess that's about the gist of it.
One of the big issues that the council's going to face in the coming year is selection of a new county manager.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on the council, what would you be looking for in a county manager?
Personally, I think I would look for somebody with, me personally, a business degree. I think if you're going to manage a county, I think it's important to be very astute in the numbers game. And I think that would be first and foremost, most important.
One of the discussions they had recently in front of the council had to do with a vaccine mandate. And that there was a proposal that the council vote to forestall any move for a vaccine mandate, even though one wasn't in the works. What would your position be on a vaccine mandate for county employees?
My position personally for a vaccine mandate, I'm not against the vaccine, first off, but I do believe it's a choice. I don't personally support a mandate that everybody must take it, because people like myself or someone who has already had the virus, I think you build a natural immunity. I know for a fact that the guy that from West Pittston I'm running with, Brian Thornton, I know he gives blood every month, and his immunity has been going up and up and up every month. So with that being said, there's never a discussion, it seems lately, about natural immunity. So I think if that were to come in play with vaccines, I think people would be a little more comfortable with the whole vaccine mandate. I don't know that it's ever a good idea to have something forced on someone. So that's where I stand on that.
Did you have COVID, or did you get a vaccine? Or?
I had COVID back in, matter of fact, it was, I think it was probably 3 weeks before they knew it was COVID.
So they had no vaccine?
No vaccine. No, actually, it was kind of interesting because I went to one of the Geisinger satellites, and they had given me some prescriptions, and they said, we're going to give you this, but unbeknownst to us, we're giving it to people, it's not working. So we know it's not the flu, but whatever it is, this doesn't work, but you're more than welcome to try it. So I just pretty much went home and tried to flush it out with some vitamins and orange juice and Gatorade, and I was down and out for a few days, but thank goodness that was about it. I didn't feel like running a marathon.
You said that you had COVID 3 weeks before they knew it was COVID. Well, I don't understand what that means.
So in other words, I was actually at the Pittston St. Patty's Day, and the COVID thing wasn't announced for sure. I think it was maybe like 2 weeks after that, because even Geisinger wasn't up to speed on, they
So
swabbed
you
me.
never actually got a test that said you had it. You just kind of think you had it.
No, then I got a test for the antibodies, and I had the antibodies, which makes me believe I had it.
What do you think about, do you think the county should follow the OSHA proposal that would require any unvaccinated employee to receive a weekly COVID test?
Probably not a bad idea, because you need to worry about some people who have other health concerns that they may be working with. You know, in the county, of course, in the courthouse, you're gonna be in close quarters. You would hate to see somebody with underlying conditions have to be exposed for somebody, you know, wondering if they're gonna have it that week.
What do you think about the lawsuit that the county council and the DA filed against the county election board over the DA election?
I read some things on that. I believe the end point is gonna come out the same because the current DA is unopposed. So I don't know why you'd want to spend any money legally to fight a battle that can't be won. But also, I took time out to review some things in other counties, and in my search, I'm thinking, because I looked this up about a month ago, I think there was 3 counties that already went through this and experienced it. And the replacement was named. So then that, I would have to believe that that sets a precedent, so that that's already in play. So I kind of think you're beating a dead horse with that, but that's my opinion on that.
What's your impression of the way the county has handled this children and youth matter, and the resignation of the and actual guilty plea of the head of the agency?
That's, I have to think that, you know, again, based on what's available for me to read, because I didn't have firsthand knowledge of it at closed door meetings, but I think this has been a problem that's been brewing for some time, and I think it's been a troubled office, and it is probably good that it's come to light. And I also think it's important that the people that have been involved, they need to be flushed out, because it needs to go in that direction. And then I would hope too that the person that was solely responsible for leading that organization, I firmly believe that somebody like that shouldn't receive a pension from the county. Because then you're derelict in your duty, you're being rewarded for it, which I'm totally against.
Do you think any of the higher level managers, I mean, the children and youth director reports to the human services division, head of reports to the county manager? Do you think that anyone higher up should have been flagged or disciplined or at least questioned about that?
I think they possibly should have been questioned, as far as when you have somebody head of the division, they're hired for a specific reason. You know, I know when we were on West Pittston Council, and if we had somebody, let's say in charge of public works, you're not supposed to be there to look over their shoulder every minute, right? That's why you hire them in the first place, because you have faith in them doing their job. It's not to say that, you know, every month you don't review the reports and see what they're doing from day-to-day activities. So I wouldn't hold people above them responsible for their actions, but certainly if it were brought to their attention and they ignored it, well, then that's a whole different ballgame, and I don't know that to be true.
And one thing that always comes up when we interview candidates or council members when there's an election going on is the state of the county charter. And I know there's been some talk of looking at maybe ways to amend it. Do you see anything in the charter that you think is worthy of being revised?
I sat down and started to read the charter, and what I do know about the charter is it's okay as long as it's fit in that situation, and the minute it doesn't, then they want to lean on state law. I don't think you can have 2 directives. I think you're either going to have to pick one or the other. My thought on the charter also too is because I like to pull up and read information on other counties and see what their budgets are and see how many, you know, what their population is, and learn from that also. In my mind, I'm thinking, if it were such a good thing, then why is there only 6 other municipalities doing it? I mean, 6 other counties in the state. So if there's 76 and 71 or 70 is doing the opposite, then I have to wonder how great it really is.
So are you maybe thinking we should go back to a commissioners, type of 3 commissioners system?
I gotta be honest, if you can't rein this whole thing in and get it under control where it just fits one common situation, then my answer to that would be yes.
What are the things that you think are most important that need to be reined in?
It's not one particular item, but I know from time to time there's issues that arise, and then it seems to be that when the battle ensues, it's either, you know, the charter says this, and then somebody leans on the state law. How do you win that battle? Because if you're a home rule charter, then you must, in my opinion, you have to follow it. But it kind of seems like it leaves an escape hatch there available to just duck out of things.
I want to follow up on your time in West Pittston.
Mm-hmm.
I know you and Mr. Thornton both resigned from the council
Correct.
after a vote on a pension matter there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And you know, is that something that you might see yourself doing on the county council if a vote doesn't go your way?
Well, I don't know. We didn't resign because a vote didn't go our way. We resigned because of the fact that we had a lawyer from the Pittsburgh area heavily involved with that whole situation. And we were told by that law firm under no condition, because at that time this individual was told to go back to work. So we were told under no condition to give him a disability, nor was it our place. He was to file for a Social Security disability, and then there was a stage of events that had to take place. And there was an act in Pennsylvania, I'm trying to remember, might have been Act 600, that clearly displayed what you had to go through in order to get that disability. And none of that criteria was met. So before I'm going to sit there and award somebody a salary who clearly wasn't disabled, I'm not partaking in it. And I never regret doing that for that reason.
To follow up on that, you by resigning, you basically gave the remaining council members the ability to pick your replacements. So why would you want to give people who you believe made this egregious mistake the ability to replace you with whoever they wanted?
Because these same people managed to do it again. Not too many years right after that, if you look into that. So if you take a small borough of West Pittston, for me to sit on council and do the things I did over 7 years to try to save the borough money, it makes no sense to me when you're going to keep out, dishing out disabilities like candy. And everybody thinks, and I heard this from a few people, and it used to drive me crazy, well, it doesn't cost the borough anything. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's no free anything in this country, period. It costs somebody something. It just is. You're talking about 2 salaries now of probably with benefits and everything else in the vicinity of $70,000. And no beyond that with health care for probably the next 15 or 20 years. And a borough the size of West Pittston can't afford that. And you already had one prior to that. And I'd have to say there's kind of a stigma in this county when I looked. And if I can find it simply just by poking around on the internet, I'm sure you guys can find it, but there's kind of a thing with some of these municipalities where they're so fast to give a disability, and I don't understand it. And when I was reading about it, there was a lot of them happening.
So what made you decide to run for county council if you were so tired of municipal government?
I actually was approached and was asked about possibly entertaining the thoughts of going back on, running for West Pittston Council. And I was involved with the Public Works. We did the budget. We negotiated with the union for the police and the Public Works. We did a major sewer project. I did a few blighted buildings and got those turned around. So I thought I would like just a different challenge.
trying to reduce spending in West Pittston. Do you have a similar goal for the county? And what do you think about the current county millage rate? Too high, too low, about right?
Just last night, I looked at a bunch of counties, and it kind of falls in line. I did find one thing that was kind of alarming and stood out, and that was, I looked at Northampton County, and I looked at, I'm trying to think of the other county. There was 2 counties that were within about 20,000 residents of Luzerne County. But what was glaring to me was the proposed budget, I believe right now is like 157.7 million. These 2 counties had budgets double ours, 2 times. So I say, okay, with less people, there's obviously has to be less homes. How do they come up with this money? And the only thing I could figure out on this, but I would love to dig into this, it has to have something to do with KOZ zones. You know, maybe too many, because somewhere they're getting a tax base and somewhere this county isn't. Because there's not a lot of places you could pick up the revenue. But I just found it astounding that, you know, like Northampton County was, their budget's 300, and I think it was like 311 million. And they even have as many square miles of roads either. So they're the kind of things that I enjoy doing, and I'm here to tell you, I learn as I go. But one thing I'm not afraid of is, I did learn when I was on West Pittston Council that the best friend I have is Google. And you can Google something until you get the answers you're looking for, and that's what I always did.
Do you have any thoughts on the issues that the County Election Bureau has experienced trying to run smooth elections the past few times, which didn't turn out so smoothly?
Yeah, I think, in general, I think the whole, not just Luzerne County, I think the whole country's in a debacle with the whole election process. You know, there's a lot of things that happened that me as a person sitting here, you'd have to be thoroughly disgusted with, you know. I remember 2 days before Christmas, I watched a hearing, and it was in Arizona, in one of the counties there, and there was a lady that worked at the polls for 20 years. And the whole discussion, of course, was election fraud. And they grilled this poor lady to hell and back. And finally, at the end, she said, well, here's my answer. She said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and at no time did I ever receive a mail-in ballot that never had a crease in it. And she came out with the stacks. So there was many things that I've read over time too that just, you got to make something. If you want people to believe in a system, you got to make it foolproof. If you thought you were going to put $10,000 in the bank and somebody could steal it out the other end 2 weeks from now, I doubt you would do it. So to get people confident in an election again, I think you have to have some safeguards. I don't know, I'm not in favor of ballot boxes. I don't know who's gonna, there was $109 billion during the year of COVID built out of this government for welfare fraud from other countries. So what makes you think they're gonna watch a ballot? I doubt it. That's my own personal opinion, but I find it hard to believe.
So how confident are you that the results on November 2nd for this upcoming election are going to be fair and accurate?
I have to believe in the system until, you know, I'm proven wrong. I'd have to say that it would depend on the races. I think as, you know, local races, I don't think are going to be as troublesome as, you know, senator, state or senator or presidential races.
So you think the outcome of the last presidential election is valid?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because me personally, I love to read. And I know myself, I gave you that example in Arizona. And somebody could say 10,000 balance that that lady had in her hands wouldn't matter, but 10,000 is probably 9,999 too many.
Are there any specific areas of the county budget you think that you might be able to cut, or the council in general might be able to cut?
I think what I would have to do is I'd love to do a comparison. So I would have to, when I get this budget to its final stages, I would have to take it and then go against other counties and then look at it to see if there's anything glaring. I know one thing, I mean, I'm 100% behind the DA's office. I'm 100% behind law enforcement, because if these two things were cut, then I think this county would really go south in a hurry. And there may be possibly things you can cut, but there's certain things you just can't touch for those reasons.
So you and Brian Thornton are running as a team?
We are. And the reason for that is when we were on council, Brian has a financial background, and he is also an engineer. So at the time, he used to love to attend the sewer meetings, which I found extremely boring, talking about depths and, slope of pipe and things of that nature. And I enjoyed the other end of it, just get my hands dirty, digging in and getting things done. So we kind of complemented each other on that front. We kind of have two different things we could bring to the table.
Would you be comfortable serving if you were elected and he wasn't?
Absolutely. We gave that a lot of consideration, and you can't have somebody vote for you and you're elected and say, well, my friend didn't get in, and